Oh, okay. Let me try and share slides so that it's easier. Sure, I'm on the right one. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you're seeing the right one, right? Okay. Because here I can because I'm using two screens. So okay. All right. So if I can start, yeah, sure. And thank you for all coming in on a Thursday evening.
Sorry, Rajan. Sorry to interrupt. You cannot see anything now on the screen. Do you
Yep,
share
sorry,
anything?
sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me try and do that. Can you see now?
Yes, we
Okay, great.
can.
Yeah. So like I was saying, thank you for being here. Yeah, I was just when at the end of the last session when we were here, I think last month, when we just say stay back, so I knew okay, he's going to tell me to talk about something, and true enough, he did. Yeah. So, but I like the way he had crafted it in the message, and I'm going to look at that. Yeah. Yeah. So because I was like, how do I talk about something like this? And he came up with this thing called leadership in relationships, which I thought was very good. I didn't use that on my slides, I know, but I quite like the way he put it. Yeah, because the way I look at it, we have to take a certain kind of a level of charge and a kind of a control over the kind of relationships that we are in. And when I say control, I don't mean in the bad sense, but in trying to manage and play our part in relationships and trying to keep it going. And nowadays it's so hard to keep a marriage going or to keep a relationship going. There's so much work that needs to be put in. Yeah, and there are a lot of challenges in terms of communication, and we are so busy with work, and then we have this thing that really gets in the way, and that's social media, and we all know how social media, uh, you know, sometimes enhances relationships and sometimes it doesn't. It just kills it. Yeah. So it's that kind of challenges that we live in, and then of course, we have COVID that makes it even more harder for people to keep going in their relationship where they have to spend so much time together, staying at home. Yeah. So that's the kind of context that I'm trying to come from. Let me try and share my slides. Yeah, so this is about us, the law firm that we do. We are predominantly a family law firm, and I've been doing family law work since 2003, and that's my our specialty lah. And that's me, lawyer. I do a lot of work in settlement, in mediation, negotiation, collaborative family practice. Yeah, you know. So I have this whole bag of I when I started the firm in 2003, I really believe that family problems should be settled not in court but privately and outside of court, and that's how I started in terms of my practice. So I've just got a whole range of soft skills to help me to do that, and I'm very glad that 2003 when I started this journey and I had all these ideas, I was the only one who was talking about all this, and right now in 2021, I think the courts are talking about it, and the whole focus has changed into settlements. So that's really very exciting. Okay, this is our outline. I'm not going to give a talk on family law because I just want to like what Richard has done here has reframed it so well. So I'm just going to talk from it from a very practical, a very a, a different kind of view. So you won't see me talking about the law and how to get divorced and stuff like that. I'll be speaking more about the soft skills because right now the season and we are in Singapore is soft skills. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that more than how to go and find out in court and stuff like that, which I hope that none of us have to do that. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to talk about. I hope to be probably done by 20 minutes or 25 minutes, and then we will just leave it for discussion and Q&A. Yeah. Okay. This is what I believe in. I mean, though I'm a family law lawyer, I really believe in marriages. I believe in relationships, and that's why I believe in trying to give a best shot and to reconcile. So when I see a client for the first time, one of my first questions is, "Did you go for counseling?" um, you know, and then I also will check in to see, do you want to reconcile, or do you want to end the relationship? And then I will then my third question will be, are you if they say they want to file for divorce, I will say, are you 110% sure you want to file for divorce? Because you have to be 110% sure. If not, don't do it. Because if you have change of mind, it's such an emotional step, it's such a big step to take in life, that to go backwards, your life will never be the same again. Yeah. So don't do it unless you're 110% sure. I have turned down clients who are not sure, who are bit of neither here nor there. I'll tell them to go back and think about it and come to me when they are ready. It does a give a surprise to some of my clients, but but I think some of them do get what I'm saying. Yeah, because also seen cases where people half-heartedly or they think they're ready, but they are not. They go into a divorce and halfway through, family pressure or friends and whatever not, or even spouses saying that hey, do you really want to do this? They have a change of mind. They withdraw or drop the case. But I think emotionally they have taken a step. How do you even undo such a step? You can't. Number one, and number two is the cost involved. It's just a waste of money, I think, because you want to come back to me in a year or two, you start all over again. It's one whole set of costs. Yeah. So I think it's good to be very certain before you go and do it. Yeah. So in the law firm, we are really about relationships. We think that we are in the business of helping and supporting and maybe even saving relationships. Yeah. So even in the firm, we are a small law firm. There are uh, besides me, there are three lawyers. One of them is a French law lawyer who is a foreign lawyer practicing in Singapore. Then we have back-end staff, and we practice a family culture in the firm. And I'm sharing that because I think it's important to practice what you preach. So we have that kind of very family culture with the team at work. Yeah. So which is why I talked about like relationship is with clients, family members, relationship with myself. Yeah, I think things all start from myself first, right? If I'm not handling and dealing with myself and my own issues and my emotional issues, it will transfer and translate into the my relationship with people. Yeah. I also look at it in a very bigger sense of people at work, fellow lawyers, with agencies. Yeah, but the main focus is really about family and clients. I don't do divorce work only. I also do all kinds of family disputes, and nowadays it's very common for siblings to have disputes over a parent's property when they're no longer around. There are also disputes that parents have with their children, and all kinds of funny things that now goes on. All these years, I still get phone calls from people with this very odd question: how do I end my relationship with my parents because I don't really want them in my life? And the first time I got it, I thought, no, no, okay, never mind. But as the years go by, at least once a year or twice a year, I will get such a question. And it's very funny how people want to end relationship with their parents, how parents want to end relationship with their grown-up children. Yeah, and the law doesn't provide you a solution. You can't divorce your parents. Yeah, but yet the question is, why do people want that? And this year somebody came to me, more than one person, the last 10 months, two persons came to me and said, I just want to say something to my parents, but I don't know how to say it. But once that is said, I don't want to see them again. Can you help me with that? So I was like, no, I mean, why am I your mailbox for your emotional issues? Number one, and number two, but why can't you deal with this by yourself? Why do you need a lawyer to do this? And it's not even a legal issue. Yeah. So we have that kind of questions that people ask, and it happens every year. So sometimes I wonder what's really going on, with us in our lives. Okay, so this is though the whole thing is not out yet. This was the interview that the Turin newspaper did about 4 years ago. I should try and reproduce, but I didn't. They wanted to speak to somebody who is more than a family law lawyer. They came and spoke to me, and And that was when I was telling them that I think a family lawyer should have a whole bag of skills, not just about how good you are in court and how well you know the law. And true enough, right now, we are in that space where we are talking about, okay, fine, you are a lawyer, but now can you be a human being and learn some soft skills to be able to help your clients? Yeah. Okay. So just talking about it again from a very personal angle, I think for somebody to pick up the phone and call a lawyer, to call a family law lawyer, I think it's very difficult. I totally think it takes a lot of strength and boldness to do it. I because now with social media and all that, I get emails first before they call. So and it's very interesting how the emails are timed. It's usually on the weekends, and it's very odd times like 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m. And then when you call them up again, they will like, very, very shy about it and say, yes, I did write to you, but I was going through a big fight with my husband or my wife. I was so emotional, I didn't know what to do. So I just told her that I'm going to write to a lawyer and I wrote to you. But, now the night has gone over. I'm different now. I'm so sorry, but I don't really need your help. Yeah, I think that's okay. But, it just shows how it is so difficult for people, to deal with all this. I also get people who email me, and then so the wife emails me, for example, and then when I call, because they usually leave a phone number behind, right? So when I call, they say, you know what? I didn't email you. I think it's my husband who's emailing you using my email address, and and I think he wants a divorce. So the whole conversation is very different. Yeah, which is very interesting, I think. Yeah. So even when they have reached out to a law firm or to me, I think it takes them a lot to really make the contact, and they find very uncomfortable, very shy, very embarrassed, don't know what to say, don't know what to ask. Yeah, so the first consult, which is nowadays on Zoom or on the phone call, it's a very tough one. People don't know what to say, don't know how to start. Yeah, so they usually will start off by telling me about what is going on in their life, in their marriage, and some people can really talk about it for a very long time. So I let them share. I mean, not so long, but I let them share. Some weeks ago, a client of mine was trying to share. I mean, a potential client of mine was trying to share the pain that she was going through with her husband for the last 20 over years, and she gave a story in 20 minutes. I usually don't let people do that, but sometimes I think with some people you really need to let them say that, because probably I'm the first one she has spoken to that's not in the family. Yeah. So I sort of heard her out. So we do provide some level of support. We're not counselors, we're very clear about that, but we provide the support and we sort of highlight to them some of the strengths and weaknesses and tell them what they have to do and tell them very clearly, what I can do for them, what the law can do for them, and clear some of the misconceptions they have in relation to the law. You would think that with the internet and with so much information out there, people should get the information right, but they don't, which is understandable because each website, the information is quite different, the way it's put. Yeah, so you will have to clarify all of that. So that's done. Um, if it's very emotional and there's mental health issues, I will encourage them to see a counselor in the first few meetings, because it's very difficult to work with a client who has got mental health issues and mentally enraged. It's very hard to work with them because they're going to transfer that to me, and then I'm not going to help them with the case if we couldn't be very emotional relationship. And family lawyering is very difficult because we handle people at the worst times in their lives. It's very emotional, and sometimes unwittingly people uh, show the worst sides of themselves to us during this kind of time in their lives. So it's a lot of emotional work that we have to do, and yet we must draw the line and and try to help them. Counseling is popular in Singapore, but not very open. So people are not really willing to go through counseling while they're going through a divorce. But I think a lot of people will really get a lot more value if they go through that as well. So the ecosystem that I talk about and now we are all talking about is, can the courts and the lawyers and the clients, and the counselors work together and support each other through the client's legal case, and that's how we are talking about how we're going to do that in the future. Yeah. These are some of the things. The client is always right. I mean, this is quite funny because we always say the customer is always right, right? I think in family cases, the client is right and wrong, I think. right in the sense for what he is feeling and what's being done to him or what he's going through. Wrong in that, he thinks that, it's done by the wife, for example. But and I always take the view that it makes two people to make a marriage, but it also takes two people to break a marriage. So you can't just blame it to one person. Yeah, it takes two persons to break it. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. A lot of people think that uncontested divorces is so easy, is the way to go. And nowadays people call and they say, "Oh, my case are very simple. It's uncontested, so I just need some help to do it quickly." Then when you go delve deeply, you will realize that there's no agreement on anything, so it's not even uncontested. I think what they want is uncontested or simplified divorce, but what's really out there is that it's far from it. So our legal system is not that friendly where you can do a DIY divorce like they do in Australia. You can't do that. It's still very much you need a lawyer. But we also see a number of people doing it by themselves, not because they don't trust lawyers or they think they're better than them, but people think that this is my problem. Only I know best what's going on, and I know best about my wife and my husband and my children. So I should find my own case. So we call them litigants in person in the family court system, and there are quite a lot of them. It stresses the whole system. The judges get very stressed because they rather have lawyers to work with than to work with individuals. But it's a very common thing. I think in the future also more and more people will be doing their own divorces. Yeah, I do not think it's good or bad. I just think that it's pros and cons. Lawyers mean litigation. Yes, traditionally, yes, this is what it means. But I think uh, a lot of us are now having a different conversation. That it is not about going to court. It's about trying to help people to settle, to move on with the next chapter in their life. Male divorce lawyers are less sympathetic or empathetic. In traditionally, I think more women were doing family law work as lawyers, but now you see a lot of men doing it. Yeah. Am I disadvantaged because I'm a man? Not really, because 50% of my clients are females, and the rest are males. I think people don't really have a problem. There are some people who prefer women, female law lawyers. There are some men who prefer female law lawyers. They think that kind of and team works better. Some women prefer male lawyers. Yeah. So nowadays people have all kinds of thinking about how they want to do their divorce. Very very interesting. I thought. Yeah. So but we also have people who want lawyers from a certain race or religion. So it's very common for me to get phone calls and they ask you are you a Christian? Are you a Catholic? Yeah, because I want somebody who is of their faith, and then I'll just send them to my friends whom I know are very, who are Christians and Catholics. Um, yeah, if my wife had an adultery and she caused the breakdown of the marriage, therefore I get everything, children and money and all. That's not true. Because the law says that the reason for the divorce does not mean you get the children. It does not mean that you get all the assets and you don't have to pay maintenance. Yeah. People also think that it's a 50-50 split. It is not. It's really based on what is the financial contributions that you make to the assets, how long is the marriage, what is the role you play as a wife and husband, and how many children you were born to the marriage. It's a very mathematical exercise. It is not 50-50. People also think that women should get sole custody of children and they should have care and control. Um, Sole custody is the decision making about a child's life. Singapore court says it should be joint custody and not sole, no matter what, because they say that the children should feel that both parents are involved in their lives, and hence it's joint custody. But care and control means who the child lives with daily and who takes care of a child daily. That usually goes to the mother most of the time. Fathers nowadays want care and control because some of them are hands-on or they think that they're entitled to it. I think it's very hard for men to get full sole care and control or full care and control. So the best they can do is what we call shared care and control, but that also has its limitations. Yeah. So generally, the guidance is that care and control of children go to women. Maintenance, a lot of people think that, oh, my wife has committed an adultery and therefore I don't need to maintain her. That's not true. If she doesn't work, you will have to maintain her based on certain principles and values. And then in relation to um, children maintenance. Men say, okay, if I don't get care and control, I don't want to maintain my children. But that's not true too, because you have a role as a father, and as a parent, you have to pay maintenance for your children till they're 21 years old. Sorry. Oops. Okay. So we're talking about how can we try and take leadership in the problems that we face in our marriage. One of the ways of doing that, I think, is speaking to the spouse. Yeah. So when we look at strategies on how to resolve the family problem, one of the things I tell my clients is that we should try and negotiate. So negotiation means you can speak to your spouse directly, tell him what you want, and find out what he wants, and have a discussion. Most people like that. I think no one shies away from that. They all like that. They want to do it. But it's very difficult to detach yourself emotionally from the problem and then to talk and negotiate. So most people don't succeed. Yeah, as lawyers, what I do is that I'm the background to provide them the legal support, the strategies, and the information and resources and legal advice on how they can negotiate. But most people don't succeed. At best, they may get a partial settlement. Yeah. Second line, yeah, I think communication is so difficult in Singapore. And I said in the beginning, right, we don't have the time. We're too focused in our jobs and careers. We travel when we do this, when we travel for work, and then and one of the greatest disruptors for family relationship, I think, is social media. Yeah, so people nowadays don't talk very much. Yeah, so and that sort of breaks down. I mean, people have children; they're so busy with their professional life and bring up children. They have no time to really talk and to have a relationship, and that's why things break down. And when a marriage breaks down, unfortunately, most people pass messages to the children. It's easy, I think, to some extent for the couple, but I think it's not very. It's quite of detrimental to children to be caught in between. The second form of negotiation is lawyers negotiating on the behalf. This is what I do a lot. We do it by way of writing to the wife husband on the other side and say, hey, you want to sit down and talk? We can do it, together, or you can engage your own lawyers and we can have a round meeting. Out of court negotiations is very difficult, and it takes a certain kind of, I think, personality to try and negotiate. And when you negotiate, it's a group thing, right? You need the right lawyers to be involved. You need the parties who are open and willing to negotiate. And usually, pre-court negotiation is very emotional. Things are very raw. Things are very too early. So, to having a settlement at this stage is very difficult. Then we have the collaborative family practice, which I do a lot of since 2013. I'm one of the first collaborative family lawyers in Singapore. I did the first case in 2013. In one word, if I were to say what it is really structured negotiation, where family lawyers who are trained as collaborative law lawyers come together and they sit in a room in a or safe and trusting kind of environment, and they just talk and try to help the parties to reach an agreement. It's the only time I think where lawyers are open and candid and they don't hide information and documents. Everything's transparent. They sit down and all the work gets done in the room by way of meetings. And then an outcome is reached and then you sign a settlement agreement. So that's collaborative family practice. Yeah, the whole focus of collaborative family practice is relationships. How to start a new relationship in the future as co-parents, and it puts the children in the center of the table. So it's all about children's best interest. Yeah. So whatever is important to the couple, we can talk about it. It doesn't need to be on legal issues. In my first case I handled, we spent a lot of time talking about how to break the news to the children. Yeah. And coming up with a strategy. So yeah, so what is important to them at that point in time was that, and we spent a lot more time doing that than the legal issues. Yeah. It helps people to start continue on being parents and continue on being in touch with each other, not in the terms of being married, but as being parents. It takes away all the pain and acrimony and all the sting, and it puts them in the right state they should be in, I think. Okay, so this is therapeutic justice. So just speaking about that a while ago, it's the in thing right now. If you read in the newspapers and all that, the courts are talking about it, and a lot of work is being done. Training is going on right now in Singapore for family law lawyers, and I'm involved in it as well. Saying that, okay, fine, you are a lawyer, you have all the great skills, you have the knowledge, you are a great lawyer in court, fine. But family lawyering is now no more like that. Let's talk about soft skills. What kind of soft skills do you have? Can you put on a lens of care and try to help your clients? That means you look at it from the angle of counseling, from the angle, of negotiation, mediation, being the support source of support for your client. It doesn't mean you're a counselor. You're still a lawyer, but you just play a different, softer, gentle role. You don't forget the law, you don't forget the processes and all that, but you work within the system. Very difficult. It's very easy to say, but it's very difficult. I still think there is a very fluffy kind of concept. We're trying to flesh it out and make it more clarity. But I think it just means that practicing it with soft skills and with the bag of skills that you have in your tool bag, which is what I talked about a while ago, the various tools. It's again putting the client at the center of the table. It's about what they want, what's important to them, why do they feel this way, how can we help them to see that what they feel is not necessarily the right thing for them to go on. That means to dig down and find out what's their feelings and emotions, which is quite different from what they want. What I feel and what I want is two different things. Yeah, is to really help people and to move on, to take away the pain in going forward. Because science has shown us that even after divorce is done and dusted and the lawyers close the file, the problem never ends. People have a lot of problems post-divorce. These 2 months, the number of new cases I've had, are more for post-divorce problems than divorce problems. So why do people have problems? Even though it's done and dusted 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 8 years ago. Yeah, it's because they haven't have a closure and they haven't moved on. So new beginnings, yeah, my training put this picture, it was quite nice. It's really about growth and healing. Healing first, growth and support, and then to put people in the right frame of mind, in the right state where they can start life afresh. It's I keep on saying on social media, it's all about helping clients to start a new chapter in their lives. I think that's what I really do. Okay, it's 8:20. I'm done. Yeah, I usually don't talk a lot because I like Q&A more than me talking. Yeah, so you can ask me any questions on this topic. I know it's very, very broad. For people who thought that I will give law, I give zero law. I know that, but like I said, I want to look at it from the angle that Richard has put it for us, and I think I'm glad he did that way, because if he has told me to go and give a crash course on law, I probably would have said no, I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm
Okay,
going to stop it.
I have